What's up, everybody? This is Dime dropping NFL Sports. This is a video about Ryan Tannehill, and I'm planning on releasing this one on Titans opening day. That's on Monday Night Football versus the Broncos. So let's see if this video is going to come true. On this day, they're facing the Broncos. A good defense, but not an elite one. Kind of like Tannehill in this video. You're going to find that out. But let's get into the video. This is a bold statement, but Ryan Tannehill could be a top 10 quarterback this season in the NFL. Now, I think a lot of you are going to think I'm crazy in saying this, but although you believe Tannehill is just an above-average game manager stuck in the middle of the NFL, somewhere between Kirk Cousins, Teddy Bridgewater, and Jimmy Garoppolo, who I think is very underrated as well, his stats show how productive he really is. Much of his production is hidden because of the greatness of Derrick Henry and the rest of his Titans roster that he leads to victory time and time again. And there is a reason why Tannehill can win and Mariota couldn't. In his college days, Tannehill was the leading wide receiver on Texas A&M, a high-level program obviously, before being able to become the starting quarterback and an NFL prospect at QB. Many experts thought he wasn't a first-round talent, but because of the lack of depth in his quarterback class and Miami's desperation to get a quarterback, he was selected 8th overall by the Dolphins, which everybody thought was a reach except for the Dolphins, which we'll learn later in the video are a bad organization. If you didn't know that already, I think with Brian Flores they're turning it around though, so that's good on them. Hopefully Tua can take him over the top. Tannehill went to Miami. Experts wanted him to sit, just like they want Tua to sit, except him sitting was for his lack of experience at the quarterback position. Obviously, Tua is very polished, but he has injury risk. Tannehill, however, didn't have that injury risk, but he wasn't a polished quarterback, only playing 2 years in college, and was not a polished prospect at all coming out of college. And so everyone thought he shouldn't start at the beginning of the season and should just sit behind a veteran quarterback before starting so he could learn the ropes in an NFL offense. Miami, however, had him start 16 games, which was just the tip of the iceberg for their organizational problems. They went 7-9, but him starting at that point just wasn't the right move for them. In his second year, though, he improved greatly and went 8-8, but his stats were way better than the first year. And this was weird. After that great improvement, the Dolphins decided to fire his offensive coordinator. And in the next 5 years, Tannehill would have to play under 4 offensive coordinators and 3 head coaches. Nobody in the NFL can sustain this instability. We're seeing it right now with Baker Mayfield. But especially an unpolished player coming out of college, they're not going to be able to withstand this bad organization with terrible problems in the front office and elsewhere in the organization, and be able to have a long, successful career out of it. Obviously, after this, Tannehill got the injury bug. In 2016, he led the Miami Dolphins to the playoffs, and he partially tore his ACL, which was a big injury. And then in 2017, he needed ACL surgery and missed games again in 2018 with a shoulder issue. And that was his last season in Miami before he was finally traded for a late round pick swap, basically nothing, traded to Tennessee. And this is where we get to the fun part of the video. Most of us thought that Tannehill was just being traded to be a mature backup and a solid insurance plan if Mariota didn't work out, but he was so much more for the Titans when in week 6 they benched Mariota and went to Tannehill to provide a spark for the offense. And if you watched NFL last year, you know he did. Last year, he went 7-3. That averages out to 11.2 wins in an NFL season. That'd be good for 7th best in the NFL. And on offense, in their points scored, they went from 16.3 points a game to 30.4 points per game, which was 2nd place in the league behind only Baltimore. They almost doubled their production from Mariota to Tannehill, and you can't just say that's just because he got carried by his offense. Mariota might not be a good quarterback, but Tannehill has to be damn good to be worth over 14 points more than Marcus Mariota. That means he's providing over 2 touchdowns of extra production than Mariota, and they're both NFL players. It's not like Mariota's a freaking high school JV quarterback. They're both in the NFL, and Tannehill's worth 2 touchdowns more a game than Mariota and put them second highest in points per game behind Baltimore, which obviously had a crazy offense last year. And now as we go to what I think is probably the second or third, maybe fourth highest in value for a QB stat, the touchdown and interception ratio. This just shows how efficient you are, and this stat correlates to wins way better than most other stats that people look at for QBs. And Tannehill's touchdown to interception ratio was comparable or better than these quarterbacks who are all really good, or a lot of people think they're really good at least. Deshaun Watson, 26-12. Tannehill had 22-6, obviously. Tom Brady had 24-8. Dak Prescott had 30-11. Jimmy Garoppolo, 27-13. Matt Ryan, 26-14. So these are the type of players that Tannehill's stats compare to, and obviously 2 of those guys, Deshaun Watson and Tom Brady, are elite quarterbacks, and then even Dak Prescott and Jimmy Garoppolo are successful quarterbacks in the NFL, and Matt Ryan is a former MVP too in that category. And now we go to the QB rating. A lot of people love this stat. I'm not one of those people that love it so much, but I think it is a good stat in terms of just seeing how well someone played without considering like how much volume they got, even though volume helps it a little bit. He had the best quarterback rating in the league. That doesn't mean he's the best quarterback, obviously, but he had the best QB rating in the league, comparable to Drew Brees and Lamar Jackson, only those 2. So if those 2 are the ones you're being compared to, along with Deshaun Watson, Tom Brady, and others, I think you got to be a top 10 QB in my mind. And then this is the stat where a lot of people get turned off a Tannehill by, and this is 228.5 passing yards per game, which is 25th in the league. But he also had 4 rushing touchdowns added on to that, which adds in that little boost to production. And if you want to go back, in the 2-point conversion against the Chiefs in their close victory, which was clutch for their playoff run, that kick-started their offense a little bit, he drove through a defensive player and pounded into the end zone for a clutch 2-point conversion to put them up by a field goal. And that was just a really Tannehill play. He's just tough and a winner, and he does whatever it takes to win. He had a 70.3 completion percentage. Usually 60% is considered good for an NFL quarterback. He's at 70.3 completion percentage. That's 3rd best in the league. And in the playoffs, he went 2-1, upsetting the Patriots and Ravens on the road before losing to the Chiefs in Arrowhead against that crowd, and against Patrick Mahomes, who was on fire in the postseason. Obviously, he's always on fire, but he was at a different level during this postseason. That's why people are saying he could be the best to ever do it. But now a lot of people are complaining when Tannehill got his big contract extension, and I'm just going to debunk that right now. Ryan Tannehill just got a contract of $118 million over 4 years, with $62 million guaranteed. You might think this is a huge contract, but most of his guaranteed money comes in the first 2 years. They can cut him after his 2nd year if he's not doing too well, if he's not becoming the top 10 quarterback that I think he could become, or that he will become. They only lose $10 million of that 3rd season, and they save $24. So it's really like a 2-year contract with a $10 million buyout after that year. So it's kind of like a 2-year contract with a free extension in case he does pop off. They still don't have to pay him that huge contract that he might deserve in a few seasons, a few years, whatever. And this added info that a lot of people don't know makes the contract worth it, because they're not fully committed to Tannehill right now. He's still kind of unproven long term, but they have the option to keep him at the 10th highest QB contract if he produces at that level, like I think he will. And a QB like Tannehill can't be underappreciated by the fans anymore. Ryan Tannehill can be a top 10 QB in the NFL season this year, and the fans have to stop sleeping on him. I think he will be a top 10 quarterback in the league this year. Thanks for watching. Like the video if you're still here. Comment, share it to your friends, and as always, join the Discord in the description before subscribing to the channel. See you next video. Let me know how we did on this one, and let me know if you agree. Drop a Titans record prediction in the comments below.